Hi, this is Gary Lee Nelson, hunkered down in sunny Santa Fe, New Mexico. The city different in the land of enchantment. Closed until further notice. As my students will tell you, I tend to wander, so I decided to put my introductory comments up on the screen for you to read while I show you what this patch does. Feel free to pause the video if you want to read in silence. The events in this patch are triggered with keys from the computer keyboard. For instance, spacebar, like most applications, starts and stops. I made this little thing called GQ. It doesn't stand for Gentleman Quarterly. It's just a slightly smaller version of this key and select object. Let me get this a little bit ready to play here. Disconnect something. Okay, so first thing, we have a conductor, and the conductor is triggered again by the space bar, and there's a metronome, just a little wood block, and it uses the set clock and the transport object, so there's quite a lot of control over rhythm and time and so forth. In fact, one of the really interesting things is you can have rubato. And that's triggered by the enter key. Slowing down a bit, speeding up. And let's stop and set it back to the default tempo. So we have two players over here. Each of them is triggered by a key on the numeric pad, the 9. So this is number 1 and this is number 2. I'm going to trigger it. It's now ready to play when the metronome starts. And it's playing short notes, half a beat. And it's got an internal metronome. And it's playing 85% of the clock ticks come out of there, playing a note on 85%. And it's playing in 4 per beat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now let's look at a couple of subdivisions of the beats. Two, back to 4. Quick jump into 8. Triplets, larger triplets, and those are familiar time signatures maybe, but what about 7 in the time of 3? Or 19 in the time of 7, prime numbers, and fractions. Your music teacher will still tell you that there are no such subdivisions as those, but clearly there are. Now we'll join in a second voice triggered by key number 2, and it's coming in playing longer notes, 4 beats long, and with a rhythmic density of 76%, and it's playing 2 beats for 1. I spend a lot of time developing systems with seedable random numbers. So if we go over here if we pop in my zip code from Oberlin, and again, and how about my zip code in Santa Fe, a Spanish flavor. Now we developed this little thing called the key seeder that uses my Oxygen 49 key keyboard. Well, 48. I broke key number 49 when I dropped a speaker on it. So middle C. And octave lower. Distortion, I'm going to leave that in. That's just Max people are complaining about that. As I said, I'm using transport, and transport has this thing called time point. I have to open it to edit, and I'm going to drag this output down here to player number 1. Lock it up again, turn it off, turn this guy off. And now when I start the metronome on beat 3 of measure number 2, it'll start this clock. It'll start the player number 1. 2, 2, 3. And you can sprinkle these time points all over your patch. And now something I just discovered yesterday, I'm very big on interpolation. I discovered that these subdivisions can themselves be interpolated. So what I'm going to do with player number 1, when I finally play it, I'm going to interpolate from 2 subdivisions to 4 subdivisions over 10 beats, milliseconds, except the clock is, and down here, I'm going to get this fella ready, and I'm going to have him playing already for, well, let's see, I'll have him play 2 beats. And what we'll hear on the interpolation, now they're ready to play. What we'll hear on the interpolation is it'll pass through duplets, through triplets, and it'll hit 4, and then it'll be 2 down here and 4 down here, magically in sync. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, and now the interpolation. Now they're back in sync, 4 against 2. Well, that's it for now.